Good evening Channikburg. This is CBC's 7 o'clock news.
The headlines for tonight. Wellington and the Kahana Republic have announced that the two countries will enter a political union, more on that later. The Bysmarten conflict rages on, with President John visiting Bysmarta. According to the Hankomen administration, the visit is a show of support to Bysmarta.
Channikburg is going back to space, with its Celeste project. President Trump received a lot of flack for deciding to hold his rally at Waco, Texas. An American contractor in Syria has been killed by a drone strike that was launched by pro-Iranian forces, more on that later.
This is the CBC Evening News, with Michael Howell and Bella Montimo.
Although we do not necessarily agree with the move of Wellington and Kahano, we wish them a prosperous and peaceful political union.
That was President Nigel's words just this afternoon, wishing the best of luck to Wellington and Kahano. As a shocking turn of events, the Kahana Republic voted to join Wellington in a political union. The leaders of both nations have released statements regarding this move. We have Sarah Ferrin Mackridge Wellington and Peter Henshaw in Beck, Kahana Republic.
Michael, President Martin has just given his speech a good while ago. In his speech he said that the incorporation of Kahano into the political union will be done through a transitional government leading Kahano, before the union could be formally done. The two governments are expected to meet next week, here in Macrague, for both sides to further iron out the finer details of their union. The Welling public is mostly supportive of the move, yet some of the country's conservatives and lawmakers are not happy with the move. Michael, as President Martin spoke a while ago, both supporters and protesters of the move gathered in a park nearby, and a commotion broke out between the two parties, yet are prevented from further violence by police. Michael?
Thank you Sarah. We now move to Peter Henshaw in Berg, Kahano.
Michael, President Ladurveg also gave a speech regarding the Kahano Republic joining the political union with Wellington. The referendum held by the Kahano Republic just this week showed that 53% of the votes were in favor of joining the union with Wellington. The source for the referendum's results were the Kahano Department of Labor and Statistics. Yet some Kahans are skeptical of the results. In the speech, President Ladurveg has stated that the union will be the best course of action for Kahano's future. There are protests here in Kahano, who are mainly the other 44% that voted against Kahano joining a political union with Wellington. Unrest in Kahano is relatively tame, Michael, despite the protests, yet we can also see behind us that police and military personnel are posted here. Michael.
Thank you, Sarah and Peter. We will continually follow this developing story as it goes along.
President John of Hankomen will visit Bysmarta, as the country's conflict is now in its 4th month. The coalition has pushed back most of the BLO forces out of highly urbanized areas. Yet a humanitarian cost is showing itself while the coalition forces advance. We have Hector Elliott for that story.
BLO forces have retreated from most urban areas in the southeastern part of Bysmarta. Coalition soldiers can be seen setting up defensive positions as Coalition High Command, according to the Bysmartan government, anticipates another counter-attack by BLO forces. The coalition spokesperson, Helena Georgian, has stated that the coalition will ensure that the BLO is subdued and brought to the highest extent of the law. As coalition forces kept moving forward, a large number of refugees have also gathered near military installations. President John visited Bysmarta and had a brief discussion with President Bragg, with important issues concerning Hankomen and Bysmartan affairs. Some issues that they talked about according to Herman Narkritan are economic prospects between both countries, the further deployment of military medical personnel in the field in Bysmarta by Hank Orman, as well as Hank Orman pledging a $50 million humanitarian donation to Bysmarta to aid in rebuilding and development after the war. Hector Elliott, Goran Bysmarta, CBC News.
The Chanik Aerospace Center will launch the Celeste project in the 1st of May. The mission will mark the second time Chanik astronauts will go to space. We have Alice Henchman in the Chanik Aerospace Center headquarters, in Clodenberg for that story.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
April
5,
17,
4,
2018, when Chonigberg first made history by launching its first man and woman to space. The two astronauts spent 32 hours in orbit conducting various studies and experiments, to study life in microgravity environments and whether life can be sustained for longer periods of time in space. Project Celeste, according to the Chanik Aerospace Center, will last for a week. They also stated that the space station Helena, which was commissioned by Chonigberg way back in 2015, will be docked with Celeste. It is the very first time that the space station will be manned by a Chanik crew. Carson assures the public that the mission is not as expensive as they think it is. The Department of Treasury of Chonigberg stated that the allotted budget for Carson for 2023 is $15 billion. According to Carson, the Celeste project merely costed $100 million. The Chanik government hopes to rile up support for ATANIan-wide cooperation in space, yet with Wellington conducting their own space program it is increasingly becoming unlikely. Wellington is also set to launch their own manned mission to space on April 29. Chonigberg, according to Carson head Henry Gobb. Chonigberg will have to do it with the other members instead. Alice Henchman, Chanik Aerospace Center headquarters in Clodenberg, CBC News.
Today's added confirmed cases are 26, with a total of 75,224 confirmed cases so far. 29 are detected today from the active cases, which is now at 3,941. 26 recoveries were added, and is now at 56,824. Fatalities are now at 14,459, with 3 being added today. The first doses of vaccinations today are 24,940. 19,864 have gotten vaccinated with their second dose. The total doses given today are currently 6,257,264.
The weather in Chonigberg will be mostly 13 degrees Celsius. Almost no chance of precipitation. Tomorrow will also be cloudy yet sunny. For Melvinburg, it will be mostly 15 and 16 degrees Celsius. No chance of precipitation and the weather will be cloudy throughout tomorrow.
Former US President Donald Trump is under hot water for deciding to hold his upcoming rally in Waco, Texas. He has announced that he will be running for the 2024 US presidential elections. The rally is undergoing controversy as the 30th anniversary of the Waco Davidian siege coincided with Trump's rally. The Waco siege was a clash between the cult of David Koresh and FBI forces, which is celebrated by right-wing militants as a heroic act against the government. Trump also warns, quote, death and destruction should he be indicted, for the Stormy Daniels hush money case.
Just today an American contractor was killed by a drone, launched by Iranian-aligned forces in Syria.
The United States does not emphasize seek conflict with Iran, but be prepared for us to act forcefully, protect our people. That's exactly what happened last night.
Over 900 US forces and hundreds of contractors are stationed in Syria to aid Kurdish forces fighting the Islamic State. Over a 2-year period, 78 attacks were carried out by Iran and Iranian-aligned groups within Syria and Iraq. More rockets were launched against US and coalition bases after the initial attack which killed the American contractor.
That's it for us on this hour. We are here to give news and information.
To amuse and help the nation. This is CBC Evening News. Have a wonderful evening.